everybody, and welcome back to my vlog. My name is Callie and I am going to be student teaching in the fall at Bridgewater State University, and I am so excited for it, and I've started creating a bunch of YouTube videos for different things that I've been doing to prepare, but today is going to be a little bit different. I will be filming a bit of an advice piece for students at Bridgewater State University who are entering the block, which is a set of courses I've talked about before that you take before your student teaching. Today I will be going over this list of questions that I had written down and prepared. A few of them are questions that I've already gotten from my friends in the block, and a couple of them are ones that I had thought about when I was heading into the block and stuff that I thought people might be worried about going in. I also asked for questions on the education Facebook page and got a couple from there, and my teaching Instagram, which is at Callie's Class if you're not already following it. So let's just jump right into the questions. The first question I had written down is, what is the block? And I just wanted to go over it a little bit before I get into more specific questions. So explain the courses, the list of supplies, stuff like that. So I have written down some things that I thought that would be beneficial to have, and these things I wrote down are kind of considering the fact that you'll be mostly online probably. So things that you'll probably still need, because I have already done a vlog before. My first vlog, I will link it in the description below, but it was everything that was in my block cart and that I brought to my placement schools and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a more detailed list of supplies, definitely check that out. The supplies that I have thought about for online version of the block that I used were notebooks and pens, which is pretty obvious. I had a notebook for each course, but once we went online, I mainly just used one. So just one big notebook would probably do fine. Definitely you need a computer and a charger, kind of a given. You probably already have one, but since it will be mostly online probably, you definitely need a good computer that allows you to open multiple tabs and has a webcam for you to do your online courses for. If you prefer them, headphones for your lectures. Definitely, this was a big one that I've kind of struggled with. My room at my house is really small. I don't have a desk. We don't have an office. I was doing most of my coursework in my bed or at my kitchen table or in my living room on my couch, and I found it really hard to do that because I would get comfy and kind of not want to pay attention as much. But I eventually did find like a quiet focus space, so definitely if you have time this summer, prepare your little office area. If you're going to be on campus, definitely have that area for you to do your classwork. If you start doing it in your bed all the time, you'll just get tired, and what I found happening was I would go to bed and associate my bed with now doing schoolwork, and so I would be up late at night doing schoolwork instead of sleeping, and so I definitely needed that separation between my bed and sleeping and a workspace for school and doing coursework. My next bit of advice for supplies is an organized Google Drive. This is definitely something you can prepare ahead of time, since everything is online and you kind of want to save everything but not on like a storage space. I have an organized Google Drive for each of the courses. So everything that I did for each of the 6 courses, more like 5, is in a Google Drive folder on its own, so I could easily find them. And I recommend having this drive be different than your Bridgewater State University email, because when you lose your BSU email, you will lose everything that's on the drive, and just have it all transferred over to your regular email or a teaching email that holds all of your lesson plans and things that you're learning now rather than switch it over later. Definitely have an agenda book. I actually had an agenda in person, but when we switched to online, it didn't really work out that well for me. So I had a list on my Google Drive. I had a document that had everything that was due and when it was due for each class collectively, and I used that once we went online. And I can show you a little clip of that here as well. But that really helped me because I was able to have everything in one place, and since it was all online and I was doing work on multiple tabs, I could just have it open and add to it while I was in class or on an online lecture. So that worked out really well for me. And coordinate with the other people in your block, talk to them, make sure you're not missing anything, because sometimes there's a lot of assignments that kind of get a little bit overwhelming, or you miss one and forget to write it down. So just make sure that you're communicating and making friendships with other people in your block and making sure that you guys all have each other's back with assignments. The courses that make up the block, there's 6 courses. There's the art methods class, which meets twice in the beginning of the semester. I don't know if they'll be doing this online because it meets twice. I didn't have to take that online since I had it in person before the coronavirus started. And I just want to put in a disclaimer here. It's a little bit late into the video, but I did my block in the spring of 2020. So there were weeks that I was in the classroom before the coronavirus, but there also were weeks after the coronavirus, right after spring break, that we moved completely online. And there has been no other people that have done the block online so far, so this is probably the best advice that you'll get for the fall block semester, because nobody else has ever done this, but I really hope that it's helpful for you all if you're watching this. Then there is the standards-based course, which you learn about like IEP programs and modifications and all that kind of stuff. There's the science course that you plan a science unit lesson in and learn about how to teach different science methods. We also had to create a teaching website for our science course, so that was really exciting. I can also link that below if you want to look at it. There's the math course, which we also do a unit plan for in math. So we still did the science and the math unit plans with our grade teams, even though we weren't going to be in schools anymore. So I would definitely say you still plan lessons, you still work collaboratively, even though it's online. So definitely prepare yourself for that. There's also the reading course, which we taught phonics lessons in, and we still had to plan phonics lessons and word work and all that kind of stuff once we went online. We just didn't really get to teach it to anybody. We were offered extra credit if we were able to teach it, so I taught it to my nephews a few different times once we went online, so I don't know if they'll be offering something like that come the fall. And then lastly, we had the language arts and social studies course, and I think for this one, there's only one professor that teaches it, and in class he gives a lot of work, but once we went online, he really took back the amount of work that we were required to do, and we didn't have to meet for this class at all online. So we actually met Mondays and Thursdays. So next question, that one was a little bit long because it had a lot of information, but do you need an iPad was a common question that I've seen people ask even with in-person classes. So we really only used the iPad for recording our lessons. We used it for Flipgrid and a couple of different science apps that we explored. I wouldn't say that you absolutely need it, to be honest. I didn't really use it that much, and if it's going to be online, I don't know if you'll have to tape yourself. I think that taping yourself was the main reason why we're supposed to have it, but I honestly don't know if that will change come the fall. What was the schedule like online? We met Mondays and Thursdays for class, and we had lecture from 9 to 12 or 9 to 1-ish some days. So we had online lecture 2 days a week for a couple hours, a few hours at a time, which is kind of long and boring, but if it's not every day of the week, it's still manageable, and they gave us the other days of the week to do other work online instead of having meetings. The professors are honestly really understanding when it comes to online and not wanting to sit on your computer all the time for multiple hours, so that was really good for that. But it is starting to rain outside, and I'm going to go inside for a little bit and hopefully it will stop raining and I can come back out and finish the rest of the questions after. All right, we are back outside. It literally rained for like 5 minutes and it stopped, and it will probably start again, but I am determined to get this vlog recorded outside because it's so nice out. Here we are outside in the rain, but it's fine. How long is online lecture? I said about 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours is what it ended up being. Some days were shorter than others, but it ended up being about 3 hours probably for the most part on 2 days of the week. So it wasn't too bad considering that you would spend that time in the classroom anyways. What did we use to meet? We started using Ultra Collaborate, but the professors didn't really find it very user-friendly, so we started using Zoom about 2 days in, and that is what we used for the rest of the semester. And it was pretty easy to use and navigate, and we did do like breakout groups and stuff like that. And you can hear the thunder probably, and it's going to rain again. It's still sprinkling, but we are getting this vlog done today. How long do you spend outside of class doing work? Definitely online. I spent a lot of time doing work on my own. We had a lot of big lesson plans that I worked on outside of class, but they literally give you days to work on stuff. When we only met those 2 days a week, the other days were assigned work for online or time to get your other work done for your courses. So that was really helpful that they allowed us to have that freedom to get our stuff done and kind of navigate online learning in that way. How do you do group work online? Like I said, we used Zoom, and that offers breakout groups for the professors to create, so they can create assigned groups for your block, and you meet that way and they pull you back into the main group after. A lot of professors actually use this. It was pretty easy to do. You just exit and join the breakout room, and then you exit to come back to the main classroom. Next question is, how do you bond and create friendships with the people in your block? And honestly, this is kind of a funny question to me because it kind of just happens. You bond with them because you're all stuck in the same situation and you're going through the same things. So it's really easy to connect with the people in your block. You do a lot of group work, a lot of talking, a lot of collaborating in the block. So the people in your block end up becoming like your best friends. If you're not talking to people in your block, then you are probably going to be struggling to finish and do that coursework, because when I was in the block, other people were my resources. When I had questions, I went to them. When they had questions, they went to me. It is 100% like your survival tool while you're in the block is your other blockmates. What is the course load like? Like I said, you know going into it that the block is a lot of work. You know that it's the busiest semester. You know that it's probably worse than student teaching. So with that in mind, the coursework is what you expect it to be. There are unit plans that you have to collaborate on. There are lesson plans. You have to prepare the supplies. You have to prepare the lessons. You have to think out a lot of things for your lessons, and it takes a lot of time to write them. So definitely know that going in, that you need to give yourself enough time to write those lessons and still be able to get sleep and eat and socialize with people and go to class, but definitely pre-plan that time for yourself in. It is starting to rain again. The next question I have kind of goes with that is, how do you balance it all? What is your advice? So like I said earlier, make a list of your syllabus, write it all down in an agenda, write it in pencil in case it changes or dates are altered, but definitely have everything you need to do on a list for the days that you plan to do it. Try to get things done before they're due. So if you know, every week there's a quiz on Sylvester's history books. So every Friday I would do that assignment and get those notes and study for that quiz for class on Monday, or just that week, so that I would already have that done because I know that it was reoccurring and it was every week. Once we moved online, we didn't have those, but he'll probably incorporate them somehow once the fall is back. So again, set goals to do things you know will happen every week. It's honestly probably the only way you'll stay ahead of the block is doing those things that you know happen every week and you know that are going to be due, is to get them done before the week starts. Do some work over the weekend. If you know an assignment is coming, plan out those days in your agenda of when you're going to be doing them. So if you have a unit plan due Friday, make sure that you do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you leave Thursday just in case you get another assignment that's bigger. Don't put it off. Work on things as soon as you get the assignments, because honestly, that's the only way that you'll ever stay ahead, if even possible. Was there a certain way to dress for the block online? So when you're in person, there is a certain way. You kind of have to dress professionally every single day. But once we went to the online version, our professors kind of threw that out the window a bit. We still had to sit upright at our chairs. They didn't really want us in our beds for our lessons. They wanted us to be active and present. They might change that for the fall, but there was no really assigned dress code for once we moved online. Oh, I wanted to specify, if you're teaching lessons, your dress is going to be still a little bit different than in class. So in class, it was just like professional. You could wear jeans or in a dress shirt, but when we taught lessons, we had to wear like dress pants, dresses. Pixie pants from Old Navy are really cute. Nothing that showed your bra straps or your underwear. So if I was wearing this, I would have to wear like a little cover up because it's kind of a little bit thin. So make sure that you have clothes in your closet that you will be able to wear just in case you get the opportunity to teach online or in person at any point during the block. Next two questions are about the MTELs. So you can appeal one of your MTEL scores if you missed it by 10 or less, took a prep course, have the GPA, all that stuff. So I had to appeal my Foundations of Reading MTEL, and I had it scheduled to take during spring break, but all the test centers closed down with the coronavirus, so I wasn't able to take it. But these are two questions that I wrote down about that is, do you have time to study for the MTELs? And honestly, there's a lot of assignments and stuff like that, but if you have to take the MTELs, you have to study for them. So you have to make that time to study for them and prepare, which kind of fits into that setting goals of when you're knowing you're gonna do stuff. So I used Sundays and Saturdays, mainly the weekend, to study for my MTELs. P.S. I use study.com and it is amazing. And then the other one is, can you miss class to take an MTEL? And I was always told no, but I did miss class for doctor's appointments or other reasons. I would probably say it's up to your professor. Just make sure you ask them before you book it. And it is really starting to rain now, so I will move into the rest of the questions after it clears up again. All right, we're back with hopefully the last part with the rain. Hopefully it holds out for this last bit of questions. You can see that it has literally gotten rained on. The rest that I have on here are kind of deeper questions, personal questions, kind of more opinion-based. So the first question of my deeper ones is it worth it to do online? And this I've gotten a few different times. Personally, I would say it is. I would just get it done with, because regardless of what the fall looks like with it online, they'll probably have to do some sort of adaptation of it in the spring as well. It doesn't really seem like this pandemic is coming to a close anytime soon, so I would just take it, do the block online. It already takes so long for you to get this far into your degree at Bridgewater, and to push it back a semester or wait for it to not be online just kind of seems like it's just adding more time before you get to be in a classroom of your own and teaching. And if you're really passionate about becoming a teacher, then you just take what's thrown at you and make the most of it. So I would say it is worth it to do online. You definitely learn about how to teach virtually, how to adapt your coursework, and that's really what teaching is all about, is adapting for your students. So I feel like I learned a lot in that sense. along with this, should I pick up a minor and put it back if you don't already have a minor? Maybe it's worth it to you. It's honestly up to you and your decision, but I wouldn't have pushed it back. I wouldn't take a semester off. I wouldn't push it off to the spring. I would just get it done with so that you can be in a classroom sooner. And if you are going into the block in the fall, then you will do your student teaching in the spring, and then you'll be able to have the summer to prepare and apply for jobs in the classroom come the fall time. And it is much harder to find jobs when it is midway through the school year. So if you were to push it back a semester now in the fall and take the block in the spring and student teach in the fall like I am, you would graduate in December, but you would be looking for a classroom job in the middle of the year, which honestly doesn't happen very often. So you'd probably have to substitute teach or find another job for another semester, and it just honestly doesn't line up with everything as well if you were to push it back. So I would honestly just say stick with it, get through it, tough it out, become a teacher. Like, you don't want to push that off any further than it has to be. So that is my advice for that. Next one, did you really learn anything online? And like I just said, I feel like I learned a lot about adapting your classroom. I feel like I learned a lot about technology in the classroom. I learned a lot about handling a class online. They really changed some things once we switched to the online version, so that we could better learn how to student teach in a pandemic online. I feel like I learned the same in content. A lot of the projects or assignments that we had before it went online stayed the same. They kept the major ones, so I was still doing the same amount of coursework, the same projects, still learning the same things, and I got to also learn about virtual learning. So I would just take it as a blessing, because as a teacher, these things are bound to come up in your classroom eventually, and it's honestly kind of a good resume builder to have already experienced distance learning, online learning, and know how to implement it into a classroom if you need to. So I would just take it as a learning experience and something that you can grow from and learn from, regardless of whether it's online, in-person teaching, anything, you can still learn from it for sure. Someone had concern about not teaching or interacting in person, and I know for sure from hearing things from when I was in the block that student teachers are being given #1 priority for being placed in classrooms, and that the people in the block probably won't be able to get to teach in person. I don't know if they're working anything out to have anything virtually taught or anything like that. Definitely, I would say you still learn regardless of whether it's in the classroom or not. You still lesson plan, you still are prepared enough to enter student teaching. I'm not really concerned about student teaching in the sense that I don't know how to lesson plan, or I'm not familiar with the content or anything like that. So I feel like I was still able to be prepared by the block for the student teaching in the fall. And that's really what the block is it is there to prep you and teach you how to become a student teacher, and that's what it has done for me, even though it was partially online. Someone wanted to know, were you able to observe or teach online? And I kind of talked about this already, but our reading class, we were able to teach our weekly phonics and word work lessons to family members if we had access to them, or children of any type. So I taught my reading and phonics lessons to 3 of my 6 nephews who are under the age of 8. I just screen recorded it on Zoom, and we had to upload them for our professor to watch, and we got extra credit for teaching it virtually to somebody that we knew. And hopefully in the fall they're able to kind of work it a little bit better now that they've had the summer to plan for online learning and online assignments, rather than it being so last minute during spring break when we did not return back to campus. For future thinkers, I have 2 questions that I can answer about student teaching. So one of them was when and how do you apply for student teaching? So we actually apply for student teaching probably within the first 2 weeks of the block. I don't know if that timeline is being pushed back, but in class we had the administrator who coordinates all of the student teaching placements come into our classroom and speak and show us how to navigate the website and how to apply and what we need to put on it. And that was really helpful. So we had that visitor within the first 2 weeks of the block, and after that it was, I think, due like a couple weeks after that. So it kind of sneaks up on you. I did not think that we would be applying for student teaching so soon into the block, but it does come really quick. And so what it is you have your top 4 districts and you just put them in on the website, and they try to do their best to place you into one of those schools. Now, you do only really pick the district that you want to be placed in. You don't really have a say in the grade that you're assigned to. That's more up to the school rather than Bridgewater. And then I just wanted to talk about my experience so far with being placed as a student teacher. So about 2 weeks after the semester ended, I received my student teaching placement at a school that is very local to me. It was my #1 choice. And I emailed the principal of the school. I was so excited. And it turns out that just about 4 days later, she wasn't able to find a classroom to put me in. So ever since, I have been waiting to hear about my second student teaching placement, and I have kind of just had to wait it out while they figure out a new place for me. It does take a while to plan those things and coordinate with the schools, so it's been about a month since I have heard anything about where I will be placed, and I still don't know what district I'll be in, but I am very hopeful for the fall and everything that's happening. So that is my experience so far with the student teaching process, but I will definitely be making more vlogs about that in the future as I learn more and become a student teacher and all of that. So for the last part of the vlog today, I just wanted to give some general advice for students at Bridgewater State who are going into the block in the fall. So #1 is definitely go into it with a positive attitude. Get all dressed up, like look nice, be presentable, be excited. Like, this is the main semester of learning how to be a teacher, and you worked so hard to get here, so don't let it being online discourage you or ruin your excitement about it, because it is still a really great learning experience for you, and as long as you have that positive attitude, you'll definitely take something away from it. Definitely also keep an open mind. It is online, but like I said, you still learn so much, and you learn more about your own teaching style and like things that you would implement into a classroom when you have it than you could ever imagine. And it's less of book learning and more of like self-reflecting, learning about yourself, learning about your teaching style, and that kind of is really important when you become a student teacher and have your own classroom someday after that. This is something that I really regret not doing, because all through college I have kept journals about college experiences and wrote down my memories and things that I learned and things that were important to me, and for whatever reason I stopped doing that about a year ago. Really wish that I had kept up with it and had a journal for my experience in the block and things that I learned, things that I took away each week, things that I want to do in my own classroom sometime, like memories of interactions with students and all that. So I really wish I had that. I also wish that I made a Teachergram sooner so that I could document my lesson plans and take pictures of student work. Definitely try to take pictures of student work if you have it, or materials that you make for lesson plans. Definitely keep all of those in a stockpile for your portfolio someday. Some like little things. Definitely create a Facebook group for your block once you know who is in your classes and in your block group. Make a Facebook page, because this will be the number one way to communicate with them when you're having a hard time on an assignment. The likelihood is that everyone is having a hard time on the assignment, or if you don't understand directions, that is the first place that I always went when I was struggling with an assignment or anything in the block. And honestly, we posted a lot of like funny memes and stuff like that that just kind of helped us all to bond. So definitely make a block Facebook group right at the beginning when you know everybody in your class. Once we went online, we actually also had block Zoom meetings after class, so we still wanted to see each other and we still wanted to vent about assignments or talk about assignments, and so we would have little block vent sessions or times that we would ask each other questions, clarify assignments. We could talk about anything that was due, but I definitely suggest utilizing Zoom in your own way outside of class. Work collaboratively with other people in your block. Talk about what you're struggling on, ask for help, ask for advice. Along with that, if you're struggling, if you can't make a deadline, definitely email your teachers, your professors. They honestly were very understanding during the pandemic and online learning. Like, I had to ask for a couple of different extensions on a couple assignments that I was struggling on, and they were very understanding and allowed me to push back some deadlines to get some things in and spend more time working on stuff. So that was a really good positive that came out of it. That is all the advice that I have to give on the block, but if you have any more questions that I didn't cover and this sparks some more, definitely leave a comment down below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my Teachergram. Let me know if there's anything you want me to cover in a future vlog, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!